Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I cover TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Crossing. So in this episode, a lot of interesting things happen. We pick up with Jude interrogating Lindauer. Like, obviously, Lindauer trying to take a lot of Jude's situations, like everything he kind of dealt with in Oakland, and tries to use that to kind of throw it back at him. And Jude kind of be sarcastic and just kind of like, yeah, you're pulling that from some psychology stuff. I knew it, and kind of throws it back at him because it's like, yeah, the whole Emma thing doesn't seem like you. You're very, it's like the whole, he kind of figures like, yeah, there had to be more to the Emma situation. Whatever happened to her is something that he's not involved in. Like it didn't go down the way he wanted it to, which it obviously didn't. It's interesting because it's like that Jude is very good at that. Like, he's very good, especially taking what he knows and kind of applying it in these certain situations. Because he's almost like, oh man, are you trying to protect these people? And he goes as far as, or are you actually one of them? And it's like, yeah, Jude's even more so than before. Jude put a target on his back because it's like, I mean, he kind of got lumped in before, but now he knows too much because he already knew about the migration. Now he knows that Lindauer is potentially part of an earlier migration, that there's more, so he could jeopardize everything that they're trying to accomplish, which, yes, they have the best of intentions. Doesn't mean their way of doing things won't be bloody. And who's to say, even when things get bloody, that it's going to work out the way they wanted to? I mean, it's hard to say, So basically, it's sad too because like everything that went down in this episode was actually part of Lindauer's plan. Because immediately after that conversation, he set up the whole like, oh yeah, we'll let some people kind of out on kind of a day pass situation. It's like, okay, I thought that was meant to just kind of ease the mayor's mind, but even the mayor caught was like, it's kind of interesting that you would say anything about it now. It's just kind of interesting that you want to offer this suggestion now. You really didn't care about doing it before until I walked into the room and started making kind of asking about this whole situation. I think this is our first episode actually meeting the mayor too. So because she was kind of not to know about it, because even she's like, isn't this whole people thing being a hoax? Is like, Jude be like, no, it's real. It's like, like, and DHS knows all about it. They're kind of keeping everyone hushed about it. So it's like, oh, so. Where there's smoke, there's fire type of thing. So, but it all played into his plan because he knew that, and why specifically he let Leia out, because he knows, even though Sophie never said anything, I can only assume they looked at her research. At the very least, they knew there was some kind of connection there, because like that's the only way Sophie would be able to like cure Leia from mental disease. It's like it had to be like made from something else. So they probably looked at her research and find out about Reese and everything. So everything was an orchestrated plan, because even Jude later on in the episode was like, honestly, everything was too easy. It's like the dude we've been dealing with is like 5 steps ahead of us and he just happens to sleep. It's like, no, like everything was planned out like that. So it's sad because, especially because Jude was out with Rebecca, which is interesting because now Rebecca knows that there are other people on the outside who know about their situation, which she could end up taking back to the camp. I mean, Jude could be seen as an ally because he knows what's going down. But he saw what Reese was up to and he let her go because, for one, it's like, as a dad, he knows what it's like to be separated from the child, because like he didn't want things to play out the way they did with Reese. It's just he found out about what she is, but now he knows like everything she does is for her daughter, and it's like the things he would do for his son. Why would, he won't expect anything less from Reese, willing to do whatever it takes for her daughter. So it's like, he wasn't about to separate him, because it's like, especially because what Rebecca brought up about the people at the camp giving her kind of the stare, like, because she's the only person that's bounced back from mental disease. So the question is like, how the hell did that happen? Which I'm sure is going to gain a lot of like anger from a lot of people, because it's like, oh, people I love died from mental disease, yet this little girl gets to live. How? Tell me how. Why her, not my family member, so. It's interesting too, because even Rebecca started getting a little paranoid, even going off on Cable, like, did you tell anyone? Cable's like, why would I tell anyone? Did I say Cable or did I say Caleb? I think I might have said Cable, but I meant to say Caleb. Either way, even he's kind of paranoid too, because he started like stashing food. So even both of them don't really trust the current situation. She was kind of upset with Jude for letting her go, but it turns out like, like I said, for Jude, it's like, yeah, she's the only one that can protect Leia. I mean, like, whoever goes after Leia has to get through Reese, and she's not to be trifled with. So it's like, the fact that she's kind of let it go, immediately my brain was like, yeah, it's going to turn into something ugly, isn't it? Like, it's going to be a situation of like, because for Rebecca, she couldn't let go, because for one, it's like, well, her mom's in Apex. It's like, oh, she's a monster. Where she's from, it's like, they're monsters. They can't be trusted. To be fair, she's been taking care of Leia all her life, obviously in secret from other Apexes. It's not like she clicks with all Apexes too, because doing what she did, not the most friendly of things, of turning against her own people for Leia, you know. So it's not like she's full on Apex either in that regard. I mean, she still is what she is, but she doesn't side with him. She just wants a new start with her daughter where they can just be left alone. But it's also because, let's not forget, Rebecca's also filling a hole in her heart from their, like, her and Caleb's own child. Like, they lost their daughter and don't really know whatever happened to her. So she was kind of filling that hole in her heart with Leia, because Leia was, I think the way the conversation went, like, Leia's kind of basically around the same age their daughter was when they lost her. So that's why it kind of rips apart at her a little, you know. So a lot of other things kind of went down this episode. You had the whole Marshall situation. Obviously him and Hannah, which completely throws out my theory that, like, oh, they must be family or something. It's like, no, she was just told to find Marshall because he was a good person. So maybe the person who originally had the locket and then they gave it to Hannah, maybe they were family of, like, their descendants of Marshall or something like that. Because the moment Hannah and him start kissing, I kind of was thinking, like, oh, like, he tried to kiss her, Hannah would be like, whoa, no, it's not like that. Like, it's like, no, she kissed him back multiple times. It's like, oh, okay, so it's not a familiar thing. It's just, like, legitimately someone told you to go find this dude because he'll protect you. So we never actually got to find out whatever happened to her ex, Micah. We never really got to find that out. I mean, their parents knew each other through her dad. Her dad knew Micah's dad, and he moved in. So obviously we know her dad's situation wasn't that good because Hannah was kind of forced into working for the because it comes up in the episode about the whole marking means property to Apex. So that begs, I doubt Hannah, maybe she does have one, but nevertheless, it's just, I'll kind of get to that in a little bit. But it's sad. She ended up telling Marshall the truth, but obviously, like, because it's like, oh man, I don't want to be separated from holding hands. Obviously, there's problems with Roy and everything because Roy, like, obviously has feelings for Hannah, but, you know, it's like she's more interested in Marshall. And that's why he's kind of a dick to her a little bit. It's just because it's kind of like, I care about you. But it's also because Roy doesn't know the full situation. I'm sure this is going to change things too, because, like, for Hannah, it's like she went to Marshall. She told him the truth, but he thought it was like a complete waste of time because he doesn't realize that she was telling the truth. He's probably thinking like, oh yeah, I'm just talking to some crazy lady. I'm thinking, because obviously Roy ends up going back and getting the necklace for her. Like, seeing Marshall's picture in it, either he's going to take it to her or he's going to be like, you know what? Okay, here. And he decides to give it to Marshall because it's like, Hannah would want you to have it anyway. So obviously you're very important to her. So I just want you to know, like, he probably puts his own feelings aside, be like, hey, and then he'll see it and he go, wait a minute, she had the picture. It's like, wait, what? And then maybe a lot of that, then maybe he'll talk to Jude or Rosario and they're like, okay, honestly, she's not wrong. Wait, what? Yeah, the people you saw pop up 10 years ago, they were time travelers. This whole thing is about time travel, and it's like, wait, okay, so it wasn't all a lie. So, you know, probably see, like, I kind of feel like Roy might be that step forward, but like I said, it depends on what he decides to do with the pendant. Will he give it to Hannah? Will he not? You know, will he just kind of be selfish about it? Because, like, obviously he has a thing for Hannah. He had a thing for her since, like, the first episode, you know? So I'm curious to see what he does in the end. Because obviously, you know, Marshall's going to find out eventually, but I'm curious about it, but who's going to tell him? I wonder because obviously next two on the list is like, oh yeah, there's a town hall. It's like, oh yeah, we heard that whole thing was a hoax. Yeah, we had all these people popping in town for this day pass. So now I guess it's kind of well, because they plan on killing everyone anyway, because it's like, we have to wipe out anything associated with, obviously, like, Apex, because you got to wipe it out in this time. And it also means wiping out them because they're connected, because it brings up too many questions, and then that could possibly lead back to the first migration group. So that's why the whole point, like, Eva was making like, oh, we should take them out, which obviously Lindauer has his reservations, but still, like, even he's not 100% down with what they're got to do. Like, he's kind of forced to, because it's like, you're either in or you're out. And when you're out, you're dead, because we can't take the chance that you might be captured or you might have a change of mind and decide to rat us out. We can't let that be a possibility. So it's definitely going to be interesting when we see kind of the town hall come up, because, like, that's going to be asking a lot of questions, which it's interesting considering the fact is they didn't want a lot of questions being asked, but the fact is they went along with it's kind of like, well, they knew it would lead to Reese, and she's the key to what they need to do. So I think in the end, we might see them burn Port Cannon to the ground and make it seem like it was all an accident. I mean, obviously they have high connection, so they can make a lot of stuff happen, you know. So ultimately, kind of like, because a lot of people involved in this whole situation, like Agent Frost or Roy, have no idea what's going on. A lot of people in town don't know. There's only like so many people that know really what's going on. Even Frost, like he got some of the ideas and stuff from Emma, but Emma was the one that was the more detailed person. Sophia knows a lot, but she's kind of not Sophia, Sophie knows a lot, but she's kind of in her medical situation. Did I even talk about that last episode? The whole her having her heart situation go down the way it is, like her health is failing, did pop up at all this episode. I mean, obviously she's in the hospital, so I'm just curious to see where that kind of all takes us. But getting back to what I was bringing up before, obviously the girl started writing all those symbols. I was like, is that future language? I was like, well, to be fair, we saw that Reese writes in that too. So it's like, is that just, it's like, no, I was wondering if that was supposed to be future language, but it's like, no, that's Apex language. And the girl writes in it, and she saw the tattoos, and he's like, oh, your property. So the thing I was wondering about that is it just humans that they get under their control? Because I was wondering, it's like, oh, she's supposed to be an Apex too. It's like, no. Because she even wondered, she's like, oh, is there a guy named Eli? And it's like, oh yeah, he didn't make it. And she's like, good. So I'm wondering if Eli was supposed to be kind of like her handler, in a sense of he was transporting her back in time to help with the whole Apex situation, like to make sure it goes off without a hitch. Was he meant to keep her in? Because what I'm curious about is because she's writing all that stuff, and part of me was like, could she be like a human library, essentially, that basically do Apexes get property people like humans and make them their journals, the document? Could they be like a transfer of information? So all the stuff that she's writing down is supposed to be messages to any other Apexes that find their way to this time period, essentially, maybe, or something like. Cause why else write it in Apex? Because no one else will probably be able to understand that. I mean, obviously Leia does because her mom, Reese taught her to understand it. So probably, not unless they know how to, Caleb's, interrogated and dealt with a lot of like collaborators and people connected to Apex. So he probably could potentially read it. I don't know if everyone for the future can read that or not. I feel like it'd be a situation where it's like Apex wouldn't want you to know how to read because they want to keep you weak, idiot, and docile, we'll see. But what I was getting at is maybe there are a treasure trove of information like, oh, like Apex sent her back in time to do this, or maybe she was meant to, like, maybe because she is property, so maybe he was trying to sell her, but they got caught up in this whole situation during him trying to sell her thing. Maybe she was being bought by someone in the resistance, someone that was there, hence why, I don't know, it's hard to say, like maybe someone that was there amongst that group of like 400 plus people were trying to use her for information against the Apex or something like that. So it's like maybe she has like all their agendas and stuff planned out. Maybe, like it's hard to say exactly what she represents until we kind of get a better answer potentially in the next episode. And like I said, we do have a captured Reese. They do have Leia, but I don't think they're going to put Leia back in the camp. They're most likely going to keep Leia because that way they can keep Reese in check. Because as long as they have her, even if she is human, like it's something that Rebecca was getting at. Like if they ever found out about Leia's connection to Reese, it doesn't matter that she's just some innocent girl. The fact that she has any connection to Apex, she'll be wiped out. Like it's kind of what Rebecca was getting at. So maybe they'll do that, but honestly they know that they could keep her in line, Reese in line, if they keep her alive and around. They'd be like, oh, if you don't do what we say, we're going to hurt your daughter type of thing. So, which is definitely going to be interesting. Like I said, like Lindauer has his like circumstances, like he's kind of following orders and stuff like that. It's not like he's dishing things out, but even he kind of has his limits to what he's willing to do. I doubt he'd really want to hurt a child, but the rules will probably be like, we have to do what we have to do, like the whole Emma situation. Once again, he didn't want things to kind of play out like that. Yes, she was asking too many questions, but it's like, you still didn't need to do that. But for Eve, it's like, it was kind of the only way to deal with things. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles all this going forward. Like, it seems like even right now, his conscience is kind of weighing on him about the whole circumstances. He even had the audacity to be like, yeah, I'm talking to Emma's family and stuff like that. It's like, where she is, what happened to her, yet you're stringing her family along about, oh yeah, who knows if he's even telling the truth about it. He could have easily been lying about being in contact with Emma's family, but if he wasn't, and if he was in contact with her family, it just makes it worse because exactly Emma's situation and you're just stringing people along, Ju did promise him if anything goes wrong, he's coming after Lindauer, so that's definitely going to be interesting. I don't know if they're necessarily going to find out about Reese and Leia, because he thinks, they left town, but maybe something will kind of spark and he'll end up like finding out that that's not 100% true. Maybe he'll find the car. I mean, there are government organizations, they're keeping shit like super like secretive, so they're probably going to hide that. Maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see. Because if I remember correctly, the whole plan with Reese is to basically use her genetic code. Because basically they want to wipe out anyone that has the genetics, like a predecessor to the whole, what would eventually become like the gene that can be found, the synthetic gene that's, not synthetic, but the gene that exists inside that would eventually become Apex, kind of the intent, like what it will kind of be built upon. So that's kind of their plan. But I think they needed Reese. They need her DNA so they could like line it up to everyone and find out like, oh, who kind of do like a worldwide search and probably find out people like that, like, oh, who has that in their DNA and stuff like that. So a lot of interesting things went down this episode. I'm very interested to see where this all takes us going into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.